Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. Um, been kind of a fast and slow news day. Let me turn my phone off real quick. All right, you guys. Let me pause this real quick. I got something I got to handle. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Had one of my friends rearing somebody, and I had to deal with it. Long story. Okay, so um, a lot happening on the Ukraine front. Not much happening on the domestic front per se. I mean, we still have the situation with the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which is not the final deal. Of course, it is simply the agreement to stop the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or to, I don't want to say stop the war, stop the hostilities, the active fighting. Obviously, the agreement's a disaster because the war is a disaster. And you have a lot of people who are in denial about what's actually happening. You know, I think the biggest reaction, the most interesting reaction to me are all these people, Bill Ackman and others, who are just sitting there like, you know, this deal is horrible. This can't happen. No, it's happening. And you're going to deal with it, and you're going to eat it, and you're going to like it. Okay? I don't know if you're going to like it, but those people who supported Trump, too bad. Too bad. You don't like a shitty deal? Don't elect a shitty president. Simple. Okay? And then you have on this other front, you have people like J.D. Vance. You have Donald Trump yesterday and J.D. Vance today kind of, you know, berating Israel for their ability, for their excessive use of force and creating complications with respect to U.S. foreign policy. So when you put all that together, it's just interesting to see people with Donald Trump. We'll look at this in a moment. Come to grips with the fact that the person they supported is actually an idiot and a monster who got us into a dumb war that's going to make it worse than it was before. In fact, anyways, so that's what that is. We'll get to that in a moment. There's actually a pretty good argument that Israel is now going to be more isolated than Iran is, which is really crazy to think about, but there's a basis for that conclusion. Let me just put something down real quick. Okay, so okay, there we go. Sorry, one of the boxes had a glitch. But the big news is the happy news, the thing that is beautiful and wonderful and fills me with joy and glee is to watch things exploding and burning in Moscow. You know, there are two cities in Russia that people refer to, that Russians refer to as reflective of Russia, and they absolutely are not. And that is Moscow and St. Petersburg, both of which right now are having fuel shortages. And today, Moscow, as we will see in a moment, had like a World War II style attack. I mean, it was like fucking Pearl Harbor over Russia. The complete absence of air defense, the inability to protect the city. And you just think about, and we keep saying this, you know, every time we see Ukraine do something amazing, is that where Russia was when it started this war, and how could not have possibly imagined it would be in this situation that it's in now. And it's all on Ukraine. They're the reasons we're in this position. So let's go ahead and watch. First of all, I think the first thing too is to look at the diversity of flying of munitions that hit in Moscow. I mean, FP1s, Marok strike drones, Bars cruise missiles, Shahed, everything from all different directions. And like some of these actually sound like World War II airplanes, like attacking like an airfield. I mean, in Western Europe, it's crazy. So let's sit back and enjoy this for a second. There's a Bars cruise missile. Just wait. I mean, it's all different kinds of stuff. Oh, it's so great. Me too. I'm happy too. I mean, it's just doing whatever it wants. Just doing whatever the hell it wants. Shaheed. Just this one right here. That sounds like a P-47 Thunderbolt or some shit. This one too. There it goes. There goes another one. I mean, so many different things flying into, and but you know, like the other thing too is that, hold on. There's a, so we saw this earlier, right? The tank lid blowing up. I mean, this is like some War of the World shit right here. Okay, so like I was like, okay, that's pretty great. That's an iconic picture, and it was freaking awesome. But the most Russian shit ever. Okay, this right here. This is a new wallpaper on my phone. Okay, there we go. See, but the thing that I love about this, and the most Russian thing you could possibly imagine, is it was caused by a Russian air defense missile. Check this out. This is amazing. Hold on. Here we go. Watch. Is a straight air defense missile hit this? Watch. So you see in the beginning, I'll just kind of pause it real quick. So you see the streak right there along the bottom of the screen? Yep, there you go. One of their own missiles, bro. Yeah, he said, and so remember, we had they had the attack on all the Ukrainian cultural sites, and Zelensky said, "You'll see on the news. You'll see. Just wait." Incredible. And then I can't get enough of this. We got to get more and more. You know, the best part of this is let's go to the guys in Russia who were like, there were these guys watching, these Russians watching, and they were like trying to figure, oh shit, hold on. They were they were just sitting there pointing, and they were like, you know, not doing anything, not trying to help. They didn't care. They just found it super. They thought it was funny. I mean, like now, so they've got these firefighting helicopters. This is for forest fires and shit. Look at that. That is some apocalypse now shit right there. Look at that. God does not love you anymore. That's what that looks like. Because he doesn't. It's amazing. Look at this guy. Typical. He should be, you know. It's another one. And like, look at this. Look what that looks like. That is crazy. That is such a huge explosion, and so many fires. The amount of smoke. Yeah. Again and again and again and again and again. God. Another one. I got to find these guys who were doing that. They're like, it's like Call of Duty. I don't want to go to work. They don't want to help, of course. Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Look at the cars covered in oil. I mean, this right here. This is freaking awesome. There's that lid right there. I mean, that shit's gonna live forever, man. That picture's gonna live forever. Yeah. Okay, so like here, I want you to like listen for something. Like you listen to the sound of any aircraft fire after it already lands and after the explosion already happens. I mean, this is a small arms fire. There was a guy out there with a Makarov pistol trying to shoot this stuff. Look, look. Look at the bitch ass fucking helicopters out there. Oh man. Oh, this is too good. You got them forest fires and whatnot. Oh. Oh, bro. This is so good. Look at how dark it is. Okay, look. Watch this picture. Oh my god, I love this shit so much. Look at all the people outside are like, look at it. They're putting air defense systems on civilian buildings. The Russian air defense missile hits a civilian neighborhood. These are all legitimate military targets. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not Ukraine's fault that Russia doesn't give a shit about its people, and even this one they shot down. Oops. But, you know, watch this missile miss. Yeah, that's all across that thing. They have anti-drone nets, but I mean, it only needs to get through one. Bro. So that's all the geolocated hits on the refinery. Another thing, you don't hear any air raid siren. That's a good, you know, at all. And here's the thing, we see this in Iran too, is that like you only need to get a couple missiles through. For something like a refinery, if you hit it 3 or 4 times, that's enough. All right. And then it takes years and years and years to put that back together. We saw that with the natural gas facility in Qatar, the Ras Laffan facility. Iran hit exactly at a part of this facility that was going to take between 3 and 5 years to replace. So there goes that damn lid again. God damn. That's crazy. Look. Welcome to hell, where you belong. A lot of videos on here. Oh. Let's go visit one of my favorite accounts real quick. This is such a good one. Oh, it's such a great video I'm going to show you here in a second. Okay, this one. This is the guy where he says we fucked around and found out. Shit is amazing. Hope you guys can see that.
Только ракеты, блядь, там долбят, блядь, еще где-то на подлете.
We were fucked up, as they say.
Выебывались, как
We fucked
говорится,
around and
блядь.
found out.
У нас самые лучшие
We have the
ПВО,
best air
блядь.
defense. Really? I don't think so.
Хохлы тоже, сука, хитрые, блядь.
The Ukrainians are
Поддержка,
fucking
блядь,
cunning with the support of the
пиздосов.
Yankees. Just a complete
Просто сплошное пожарище, блядь.
conflagration.
Просто не видно на видео, там огонь вон. На, блядь.
So the reason
Еще
that
где-то въебал, блядь.
this is really bad because this is what supplies like a lot of the gasoline to the Moscow area, and it's like the centers of control in Russia are St. Petersburg and Moscow. They've sent a lot of people. I mean, like when you're talking about like the eastern part of Russia, when you're talking about the minorities, minority groups that are in the eastern and southern part of Russia, they're the ones who have had a much higher rate of casualties and a much higher rate of mobilization. But they don't have any political power. But here, you know, and I like yesterday I was talking about like all these Russians complaining about the gas shortages, and I was saying I was mentioning how like one of them was like a brand new BMW M4. You know, I mean, which is it actually was an M4 with a competition package. I mean, it's like an $90,000 car. So, and I was saying to myself like, these people that are complaining that they never say like why they might actually be doing it, but it's important that. And then the other one was a Mercedes S class. Another one was a guy talking about his Mercedes. He were just repainted. The fact that you have people with money, and some level, by because very few people have money in Russia, unless they're like politically connected. The fact that you have those people complaining is actually a good sign. Because it means that it's not isolated. It's now the war is now affecting those with some degree of power.
Вот он, блядь. Еще, блядь. Я не
You can
знаю,
just hear it
штук уже
one after the
прилетал,
other.
я уже штук 15.
So, this is such a good meme. Yeah. I don't know. It's just so much. Okay. We'll get back to this in a second. They do let you actually pick what you want to put on there. See what Moscow looks like right now. It's about 8 hours ahead, so it should be about 11 o'clock at night.
Я вырвались, как говорится, блядь. У нас самое лучшее ПВО, блядь.
This is super funny. This fucking X-Files music. Oh, man. This is a good one, too. God, I mean, it's just like so much. It's wild. Wow, look at that fire right there. That's like 100 feet high. It's crazy. This is so funny. Look at this. What is this? Okay, there's also like some memes we need to look at. Hold on. The fuck? So about 200 missiles and drones. Okay. Okay. Let's look at some of these memes. These memes are hilarious. These are fucking great. Oh my god. Wow. Oh my god, this is amazing. That's a good one too. Oh wait. Oh my god. The moment you turn away. This is always a good bet. All right. Wow. Anyways, there's so many. And the fact that they hit it with their own missile is just incredible. It's so perfect. So, anyways, that's where we're at. I mean, more fuel shortages, more bad things will be happening. Another thing, though, a couple other things on Ukraine, real quick. There was this story that had come out about how there had been so Lukashenko, the dictator in Belarus, had come out a couple days ago and said that he wasn't going to help Russia attack Ukraine, and he was against, Belarus dying in any invasion or attack on Ukraine on behalf of Russia. And then, literally, like, it was within about 24 hours, you had this story come out of Russia where allegedly a bunch of kids, like a kid's soccer team, was hit in a bus by a Ukrainian FPV drone, and there were all these casualties, and it was a war crime. But like, as you start and right away too, the way to, like, the thing that was really suspicious about it, obviously, is you have this not only the timing of the Lukashenko, like, in response, but you also have this, they're pushing this propaganda through their official state channels, but all of a sudden, like, these Russian propagandists, these people, useful idiots in the West, Americans living in and what Europeans living in Russia, were all of a sudden, like, they were talking about it within like 30 minutes of it being pushed by the official government channels. And then the pictures that they, like, first you couldn't see the license plate. Then there was no indication of any evidence that there was a strike, no evidence that people were injured. And then it just kind of stopped there. So when you look at, and also then when people finally geolocated it, the distance from the border where that was, it would be too far for an FPV drone to hit it. And then they just intercepted this, and it was bullshit. I mean, I called this as bullshit pretty quickly. And we have this today, an intercepted communication. Let's just go ahead and read this. Intercepted Russian communications released by Ukraine's security service show that Russian claims that a Ukrainian drone targeted a bus carrying Belarusian civilians in Russia's Bryansk region are false. Let me just say, the main reason it was false is because Ukraine doesn't target civilians. According to an internal report from Bryansk region's Safe Region Monitoring Center, no Ukrainian UAV activity was recorded in the area's airspace at the time of the incident. And this is an intercepted communication. This is translated into English, but this is what it looks like when it's translated. At the time of the receipt of information, there were no records of UAV flights in that district. And the duty officer of the radar battalion has not confirmed any detections at the incident site. And they haven't provided, like, if there was kids wounded sitting in a hospital, they would have said something about that. But they didn't say shit about it. They would have, like, of course they're going to do that. That's how so this just looks like a half-ass effort to try to distract from the fact that they bombed fucking churches, art museums, and all these other civilian targets just a couple days ago. The fact that they bombed a zoo, the fact that they bombed bunnies, the fact that they killed horses, the fact that they blew up a fucking old lady in a wheelchair on purpose with an FPV drone. Like, literally saw a 95-year-old woman in a chair and was like, oh, and then flew the FPV drone right into that woman. And this is just some half-ass bullshit right here, okay? You can never... And I thought it was one of two things that this could have been. Either a total fucking lie, or another thing Russians do is they will attack their own civilians And so they'll commit terrorism against their own people, war crimes against their own people, to try to then blame the Ukrainians. They did that in Chechnya when Putin blew up an apartment complex and killed a bunch of Russians in Moscow to justify the invasion of Chechnya. I mean, there's a history of it. That's not the only time. They do this kind of stuff, like these false flag attacks where they actually do attack civilians. That's who they are. That's how sick their government is. So, so right now you basically, I mean, and this is also a sign of like huge desperation on their part to be trying to pull this shit and in a way that's so obvious and so clear, and then not providing the underlying evidence. Truly desperate. And so that's where we're at there. Now we got this other thing. Let's just talk about this reflecting pool.
Flag blue sealant to stop the leaks.
Okay.
Now it's peeling.
Okay, so let's just the background on this. This is a metaphor for Trump's entire presidency. They did a $12 million, I believe, $12 to $14 million no-bid contract. A no-bid contract under federal contracting rules is only supposed to be in a situation where you have, there's an emergency that is necessary to dispense with that. And the reason is obviously to save taxpayer money and to make sure to try to reduce corruption. Trump went around that. And there's actually questioning by Joe Neguse of Colorado as to why they did that of Doug Burgum. Let's look at that real quick. Hold on. Because it kind of lays the groundwork for this. So this is questioning by Joe Neguse, a Democrat from Colorado, of Doug Burgum, the Secretary of the Interior, as to why they did this $12 million no bid contract. Okay. This is a little while back, but it's worth it. So, okay.
Gentlemen's time has expired. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Neguse, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We'll just ask for your commitment to respond to that letter, if you might be willing to make that commitment to equality. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess part of my confusion about why, given your agreement on that front, given the fact that as governor, you
Changing these holidays, the holiday designation, whatever, there was
industrial coatings, correct?
Okay.
vegetation
I hear
was
you.
one
At
of
the
that.
same time, I think you could understand how
Okay. So there's a lot of stuff in this hearing. I mean, probably the best part was there was another congressman, I can't remember his name, when he picked up a fucking, like, it's like, this is what Donald Trump said. With the noise from windmills cause cancer. True or false, Mr. Burgum? And then he showed a video of Doug Burgum when he was the governor of North Dakota. Was like, he was the most pro windmill guy like in America. Okay. Governor in America. And then all of a sudden, then he starts, and then it just like showed that against what Burgum was saying now to show he's a hypocrite. And then he asked him questions and he's like, true or false? And he's like, he showed him the question. He's like, false. And he had like literally had cards like fucking, I don't know, like Wheel of Fortune or what, I can't remember the other one, the other game show. What the fuck is that called? The guy with the skinny microphone. Oh my God. I must be getting old. My brain's not working. Okay. Anyways, but this is about the actual contracting process for the Lincoln Reflecting Pool. And it's absurd and it's ridiculous and it's funny.
many Americans would perceive a decision by your department to remove Martin Luther King Day as a free entrance day, the National Park Service. I just, at the end of the day, again, we'll have to agree to disagree on that front, but I will move on. Are you familiar with Atlantic Industrial Coatings?
I'm not familiar with that.
Atlantic Industrial Coatings is
You said-
company. Are you familiar with that company?
Yeah, the price is right. Thanks to you.
Atlantic?
Atlantic Industrial Coatings, correct? Are you familiar with it, or?
I'm not familiar with Atlantic.
Okay, Atlantic Industrial Coatings is the company that received a no-bid federal contract for the project at the Lincoln Memorial Reflective Pool. Are you familiar with that now? Is that,
I'm familiar with that project, yes.
but not the company?
I wasn't familiar with that specific name of the company.
Okay. You're familiar with the fact that a company received a no-bid contract to do the work on that project, correct?
I'm familiar that we have, that
He
we're,
basically got caught lying. Okay. He's like, he says that he doesn't know who this Atlantic Industrial Coatings is, but he does know that about the contract. But then he doesn't know about the contract because obviously he doesn't know the person that this fucking no bid contract was awarded to. $12 million. It's not something small.
Working on a project to restore the reflecting pool before the summer season with record attendance, yes.
Yes, and that was through a no bid $13 million contract, right? That's not
13
that's not
million.
up for debate. That's a
But
fact.
I'm positive that we followed all of the required bidding rules. So you're
Well, let me ask you
emphasizing,
that
you're
question
emphasizing the word no bid like something nefarious has happened. and
okay,
I-
then
I reject
Well, did something nefarious happen?
Explain
that
it to me.
thesis.
Here, I'll ask you the question. My understanding of the federal procurement rules is that a no bid contract is reserved for situations where, quote, any delay would cause serious injury to the government.
Okay. Any delay would cause serious injury to the government. And the delay was that Donald Trump wanted to have it before his stupid birthday thing. Okay.
What is your proposition is what? That there'd be serious injury to the government if this company didn't get the $13 million contract to do this particular project right now?
Well, I think we do have a sense of urgency. I mean, we got handed a record amount of deferred maintenance. We had 19 fountains across the city that didn't work.
That's
Two
the serious
homeless sites,
injury to
thousands-
the government? A serious injury to the
Well,
government?
I'm not I suppose a lawyer could decide that, but I think that maybe all of us could agree that we would want to have our nation's
So
capital.
just real quick, look at these weirdos in his staff. Like this person here. Like what is this? This woman and this guy and then the guy behind him. Who are these people? I assume that's people in his staff. I mean, they're sitting behind him.
Looking great for the 250th. I
Well-
mean, this is a common sense decision.
I would say, just last question, who picked this company? Because President Trump,
This is great because Trump picked him and then tried to backtrack, and now he blames Burgum and he gets caught stepping on his dick. Sorry, it's figure of speech.
a few months ago, in a New York Times article said, I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. He looked at it, he called me up, he said, sir, we can do something on it. Last night, he posted on Truth Social, also, I did not give out the contract. Interior did to a contract I did not know and have never used before. So Interior, he's talking about you. Did you
yeah.
give? this
I love when these fucking people who sold their souls and have no values and put, just like completely left everything behind morally, ethically, and otherwise, end up getting put in an uncomfortable position by Donald Trump. And that's exactly what's happening here. He throws everybody under the bus, and at the end of the day, they're all going to be scrambling for pardons.
$13 million no bid contract to this company that's never done business with the federal government before?
The gentleman's time has expired.
There-
I think the secretary can answer the
The
question.
gentleman that you're talking about that has done construction work regarding pools and fountains for President Trump is not part of this contract. He's just a citizen that cared about it and offered some free advice. There's nothing there in terms of any dollars flowing to anybody that worked for President.
So this is the thing that's stupid about TikTok Live. It got flagged for misinformation, and literally, while it's the Secretary of the Interior testifying under oath, like people can make a report and it just automatically assumes it's valid. It's so fucking stupid. Anyways, okay.
President
It's
Trump.
still up though. So let's take that and then look at. Okay, so that's like the road we took here. Okay. Oops. You see that? That's a problem. And then we go through. Let's just look at more of this. It's a disaster.
There's a nice big chunk.
Okay, and I mean, obviously, if there's a coating, if any of it is compromised, then all of it's compromised. It's whatever the reason. I don't know if it's because they put in the 12% hydrogen peroxide yesterday, and that's like, I mean, it says it's corrosive on the bottle, or if it's because they didn't let it cure sufficiently before they just started pouring water in. Who knows? Maybe it's because, I mean, it's possible that one of these people in the Park Service went in, and because you have different people who put this coating down versus the people who are doing the maintenance. And given the rush nature of the job and the way Donald Trump goes about government, it's possible they did something wrong. At the end of the day, it's fucked up. Okay. This whole thing, it was $14 million down the drain, completely, totally wasted. And It's so embarrassing because, like, not only did it not work at all, but even the shit that didn't work is now peeling. It did absolutely nothing right. Okay, it never, ever, ever, ever looked good, and the only thing that you had was Donald Trump's pathetic AI photos trying to make this look like something it's not.
Of the reflecting pool. Yeah. Oh, it is blue. How about that? Big chunk of it for you.
This is so fun.
18 minutes.
Okay. Here's another guy. Anyway, so there's more videos. Let's reflect. Hold on, let me just pull this up. God, this is just terrible. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so this guy, which is really weird. I don't know if this guy like stuck his face in here. It's kind of fucking weird because he's like, it seems like, watch this video. Like he like gags for a second. I don't know why it's not playing. Anyways, I mean, if I do it right here. Do you see how stupid Twitter is? Like, it'll play if I do it right there, but it won't do it if I like click on it. Okay, anyways, it was kind of funny because that guy was gagging on it, but let's just watch this one.
All the algae green, but it's peeling up already. Look, it's blue.
It's going to be green a lot of the time, or you're going to like truly do a full-on swimming pool chlorine.
There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, like, this is this guy is, look at this fucking pathetic piece of shit. I'm sorry. Like, I got to speak frankly. Our country's at stake. Congressman Rudy Yakim. These photos were taken in the reflecting pool last night. This fucking moron, dude. Look at this guy. It was American flag blue, and hundreds of patriots were enjoying it. It's okay to love America and take pride in our beautifully renovated, you know. This guy got a DUI on camera and pissed himself. So, look at this. I mean,
President Trump's freshly renovated reflecting pool.
yeah, it's just embarrassing, all of it. So, again, this is just making shit up. Look at this. I mean, the amount of fucking cope here is incredible. That's almost as interesting as the people actually doing it. Look, okay, here. This is what it looks like underwater. That is disgusting. That's fucking worse than it was before. Okay. Anyways, that's what you get. Complete disaster. Going back to, I mean, that's fun to look at, but there's something kind of more important that's been happening today at Shift. So you had this, so we're talking about the, like, Iran and Israel and all this. You have a situation where, actually, let me go here. You had a situation where Benjamin Netanyahu took Israel's fortunes and tied them to Donald Trump exclusively, severed any link to, you know, the Democratic Party or to America as a whole, and it became entirely about, it became a right-wing thing to support Israel. And that's a big mistake. That's really risky, because if Trump gets mad, which he will always do, and he's unpredictable, guess what? The country you depend upon for about 60 to 70% of your military hardware, your air defense, about 80, 90% of your air defense missiles, probably, at least, now doesn't like you anymore. And we'll try to pull like a Ukraine situation where they stab you in the back. And that's exactly what's happened. So not only did he link Israel's fortunes exclusively to Donald Trump, going down to Mar-a-Lago during, remember, this was during the election, this is in 2024, and convinced Trump to go start a fucking war with Iran with a completely flawed and stupid policy of not securing the Strait of Hormuz physically, but just going to try to kill the Iranian leadership. And that plan to decapitate the leadership is exactly the same plan that caused them to start those bombings during the day. Those daytime bombings are one big reason why those 180 girls got killed at that school, because it happened during the day, and they had to do it during the day because they had to do it all at once to start that initial wave because of the because everybody was gathered at the Supreme Leader's home. And so now, despite being involved in this shitty planning for this war and being the motivating force behind this war, Israel was claiming that somehow it has some special right to not be bound by the terms, to have no consequences, of a bad agreement. Okay. Like America is supposed to sign a bad agreement and accept this, but Israel's going to get away with just like they get special treatment among allies, even though both of us are at least 50-50 responsible for how stupid this plan was and the outcome, because the outcome to the war is it determines how bad the agreement's going to be, because the agreement's just a reflective of the tactical and strategic realities on the ground. And, that didn't go over too well. And there was a lot of chirping in Israeli media, people connected to Netanyahu. It got back to Trump. And so then yesterday you had, for the second time, Donald Trump say that Israel engages in war crimes, the IDF does, as official policy. He said it before, a little bit less directly, but still pretty clear, when he said that Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal and that he's a criminal, that he'd be in jail if it wasn't for him. And everybody hates Israel because of their actions, not because of anti-Semitism, because of their actions, which was a key point. And then also yesterday, which is like totally clear, he said that Lebanon, the actions in Lebanon are why people don't like Israel, blowing up entire apartment buildings to kill one person, things that are clearly violate the law of armed conflict. And then, so you had that. And then today you have this kind of stuff from JD Vance. So it's worth listening to. Okay. So JD Vance, let's remember, is a massive piece of shit and a sociopath. And actually his book, we'll look at some of the stuff, because on the Bulwark, they looked at his book that he wrote recently. And he clearly, the way he talks about himself, he's a sociopath. It's kind of funny. But so this here, I'm going to play it. It doesn't mean that JD Vance is doing anything right. He's just following Donald Trump's lead, and that is criticizing Israel, because that's the only option they have for Israel's criticism of this crappy agreement. So.
Yeah, you've seen people in their system, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, who've attacked the deal. And I guess my response to them would be, what is your exact proposal? And, you're a country of 9 million people. You can't just kill your way out of solving every single national security problem that you have. Look at but yeah, you've seen.
Okay, well, that's a good point. And then there's more.
What does bother me is that you've seen people.
Okay, so I got to turn this up a little bit. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this point in time. Why do you think that is? Why is that? Why? Why does like every member of NATO pretty much, and every member of the EU, as an example, why do they all say that? Why are they all against Israel? Why are we the only ones left? And doesn't that make us look bad as a country? I think it does. But let's listen to what he had to say. But just the first sentence is actually very key. We're the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel. Okay. Either everyone in the world is just absolutely, they're psychotic and crazy and anti-Semitic, or Israel's been doing bad stuff. And the one that makes more sense is the latter, not the former.
What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal, and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
Okay, so that's a veiled threat right there. But this is the natural consequence of Netanyahu's disastrous policy of connecting only to Donald Trump. And Democrats, we're not going to bail him out. Fuck it. You decided you wanted to hitch your wagon to Donald Trump. Fine. Enjoy. That's your fucking problem now. So it's just kind of one thing after another. He's been saying it was stuff like this all day long. And by the way, let's look at that JD Vance. Let me look at that JD Vance video real quick of the about his book. It's super funny. Okay, hold on.
Hey, thanks for considering membership.
So let's go here, and then this is more.
Hey, everybody, we are live. This is Sam Stein. I'm with Sarah Matthews and Brendan Hartnett. We are live at the Reflecting Pool. I know this.
Oh my God, they're actually there. Okay, some of this stuff about.
Hey, thanks for considering membership to the.
So I don't know why. It should have just pulled up. But basically, so they went through JD Vance's new book, and his book is, he just like talks about himself in a way that is really, you can see why he is the way he is. Anyways, that's a kind of a sidebar thing, not really super important, but yeah. Let me see if there's any more on what he said. And I would just say, okay, so let's look at like when I was talking earlier about people who are like in denial of reality, like there's Bill Ackman, for example. This fucking oligarch who's like, okay, like this right here. So he is first of all, Bill Ackman is a moron on social media. He's super dumb. He writes these big long things and he's like constantly contradicting himself. He's an idiot when it comes. He should not be on social media at all. But here he is retweeting, quote tweeting this. I'm gonna count with 10,000 followers. That the man who allegedly, and this is the complaint, okay? The man allegedly digitally signed the MOU and explained that he's willing to deal with the United States, which he describes as the killers of our martyred leader. And it goes on and on and on. It's pretty stupid. But the point of this tweet by Bill Ackman is to criticize the agreement as if there's any possibility of going back and undoing it. The reason Donald Trump signed this agreement, there's not a chance in hell that he's going to go back and do it, because the only option other than the agreement is actually doing a land invasion of Iran. And any of these people who complain about it, they should be the first ones on the first wave to land on the beach like Normandy. That's what I think. I mean, these people, they're in fucking denial. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay. The deal is there. It's already been signed. It's done. And that's a fact. And while we're on the subject of oligarchs, let's look at a story in Wired that just came out about how pathetic these people are. Okay, look at this. Okay, so okay, these people. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos sought to ingratiate themselves with Trump after the 2024 election by humiliating themselves. Donald Trump mocked them behind their backs. Zuckerberg sent Trump a photo of a letter of his grade school kids that one of his grade school kids wrote that looked forward to the golden age of America. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg is such a scumbag that he had this guy. I mean, why have all that money, billions and billions of dollars, if you're gonna like be so pathetic that you're gonna have your kids writing letters that obviously you're telling them to write it? What kind of fucking child, demented kid, would be writing something about the golden age of America unless, you know, their android father told him to do it? Well, here you have it. Okay. Sent a photo of a letter of his grade school kids wrote that look forward to the golden age of America. I mean, Bezos denigrated the Washington Post. Remember all those people, like, you know, they left the Washington Post, they resigned. There was all that talk about it being, you know, an American institution. You know, this is where, you know, Bob Woodward where you had the, it was not only the Pentagon, I believe it was the Pentagon Papers, but it was definitely the Watergate. And this storied national paper, this institution of journalism, and literally, and people, I remember the time people were saying, well, does Jeff Bezos know what he's doing? I'm like, of course he fucking knows what he's doing. He doesn't give a shit about this paper. There you go. He denigrated the Washington Post to Trump and described the newspaper as one of his worst financial investments. They don't care about anything. They don't care about institutions of journalism. They don't care about, the norms of society. They don't care about right versus wrong, especially. They care about themselves and they care about money. That's literally all they care about. And then you have all these people, these dick writers all across society like, oh, Elon, Zuckerberg, and Bezos, they're so smart. They have everything figured out. No, they're people who got lucky. They care about money and they're generally pieces of shit. Okay. That's just a fact. Open your fucking eyes. Trump showed off text from Zuckerberg and Bezos to other guests, including to Elon Musk, who mocked them for first-class groveling. Months after their dinner, Bezos tried to get a favor from Trump, telling him it was a risk for SpaceX to dominate space contracts. This is why these people, and especially who, the owner of Twitter, these people should not be allowed to have this much money. I'm sorry. I may sound like a communist. I'm not. But you cannot have this much, because when you have that much money and you have Citizens United, that means you have effectively unlimited power concentrated in a few people. And that is what you had in monarchical systems. That's what you have in dictatorships. That's what you have in kleptocracy. That is not what we can have in America and still call us, a capitalistic democratic society. It's just not. Okay. And something needs to be done about this. And there's all kinds of power structures and advantages that these people have. And there's so many ways to come at this and stop it from happening, whether it's a progressive tax or whatever you want to do with it. But this shit right here looks behind the curtain and it shows you everything that we knew the whole time. These are terrible people. They're just trying to accumulate power and they don't give a shit about how bad they treat America. All right. And now this is going to be supercharged like a weapon of mass destruction when it comes to artificial intelligence. These are the same people. Meta's being sued in a class action by publishers and authors because they fucking stole human creative works. Okay. Everything we've ever created, everything we've ever known, thousands and thousands and thousands of books, pirated music, all this shit, and then used it to train their AI models. They stole from us without paying for it. And then they want to sell it back to us as a service. The greatest theft in the history of mankind. Okay. And this is just a small window into what's going on. And on top of that, all the corruption behind it as well. And we're going to be fucking carrying this, whether, it's adding to the debt, the lawlessness of society. More and more of this is just is happening in a way that's going to burden us forever. Just like we saw with the fucking baby boomers coming along, and they took the most prosperous time in human history, the post-World War II time period in America. And now that we have, what do they do with it? They fucked it up with a $39 trillion debt. How that happens? It's a miracle. It's a miracle they could screw it up so bad. But they did it on purpose. Just like you have the big, beautiful bill, the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich and from the young to the old. That was a continuation of what the baby boomers did after World War II. All right. And this too is the same thing. This is the natural result of that. It started back then and it's grown to here. This is I'm sorry. I know we all have members of our family that are baby boomers or of that age, but this didn't happen overnight. This is not America. This is a change over time. Bezos suggested Trump tell Deputy Defense Secretary Feinberg to ensure contractor diversity, opening the door to Blue Origin to get contracts. But Trump ultimately screwed over Bezos as he reconciled with Musk and instead expanded SpaceX's contracts to U.S. space launch sites. Okay, so, these people are utterly pathetic. I think I have a subscription to Wired. Yeah. You would not believe, this is Trump saying this, okay? Donald Trump said, "You would not believe the text I got from these tech guys. How humiliating. How embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous." Okay, I have a subscription. I'll have to pull that up, but you get the gist. It's just crazy. It's like being that rich and having your fucking child draw something fake in order to impress Donald Trump. A pedophile. Okay? A sex offender. A rapist, an insurrectionist. Incredible. Yeah. So it's truly unbelievable. Yeah. The general, like somebody mentioned in the comments that the generational wealth is gone because the older generations grabbed it like a thief in the night, not only theirs, but they also did it. Like they literally took out, it's like taking out a credit card in the name of an embryo or someone who's not even born yet. Because a lot of this legislation that allowed this to happen, running up the deficits, were based upon legislation and laws and oversight happening by both at the state and federal level before the people who would have to pay that bill were even fucking born, before they were able to even vote. And that is a gap in our constitutional system, that you can obligate people who have no representation. That is taxation without representation, effectively. And now we're like, all standing around, and they still want people to, even if you're willing to get on that 9 to 5, get on that hamster wheel and play that game. Well, let's say you and put money in your 401k. Well, then they rewrite the rules for the SpaceX IPO. They changed the fucking rules. The whole game is fucking rigged. Okay. And even if you are, working hard and like putting away, then AI comes along and takes your job. And who pays for that? You know for a fact that if AI fails, that's going to be a bailout. But if AI works, are they going to bail out the people who lost their jobs? No, they only bail out the rich. They only bail out the oligarchs. They only bail out the corrupt people who gave the money to Donald Trump and fucking groveled and licked his fucking feet. Disgusting image as it is, it's a disgusting act that actually happened. So this entire system is bullshit. And it takes a very minimal amount of people to say, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. And the way that you do that is we say there's got to be a test for Democrats, because Republicans aren't going to listen. They're just like, let me tell you about some of our Republicans. We just saw you see these people in Moscow, you see these Russians, these Muscovites, these Vatniks, and they never ask the question, like, why is it fucking raining oil in the capital city of a country that was supposed to be doing like a 2-week special military operation? They never ask why it's happening. They just complain. Well, a nation of gangsters and slaves. So I said in one of my videos, the same thing. That's what you have. I mean, the Republican Party is a microcosm of Russia, incredibly corrupt at the top, corroded all the way through, and people too dumb, too trained, too unwilling, too slavish to ever care to actually challenge and ask why. They're fucking gone. All right. That party will no longer, it'd be like the Whigs or some shit from the past. And they need to be buried and put out to pasture. They need to be put into history. They need to be fucking turned into dust and ashes. And I mean that figuratively, not literally, obviously. So that for the Democrats, the only people we can deal with, that we need to say, it's not okay for you to just continue this corporate bullshit. Okay. It's not okay that you're not going to go in and fucking take every single merger and every single corrupt thing and every single corrupt government benefit that's been given to these people, whether it's the Paramount merger, whatever, and Netflix, and take these fucking executives and shake their fucking by their legs, figuratively speaking, and whatever falls out, and look through every single one of these people that, was a propagandist for Russia, every single one of these people that was involved in this corruption, every single deal that was given, directly to Donald Trump and Jr. and Eric Trump's company, to, hundreds of millions of dollars in Pentagon contracts. There's so much fucking corruption. And every single one of those things needs to be picked apart, piece by piece, stitch by stitch, brick by brick, inch by inch. No more Merrick Garland shit. We need junkyard dog people to go in there and fucking actually do it. That needs to be the minimum. That needs to be the first thing, to go back and undo Nuremberg style everything that Donald Trump has done. And then to say, we're not going to go back to the way it was. We're going to actually ask questions. Now we're starting to ask questions, finally about Israel and their role in the Middle East. Well, we need to start asking questions about how the fuck did we get here? Why do we have a $39 trillion debt? Or whatever the hell it is. He's like, it goes up every single day. And asking questions about, do we really have capitalism? Because this sure seems like socialism when you have, the Trump administration taking interest in companies. Now he wants to be a gatekeeper for AI so that he can grift off of every single AI model that's pulled from the market and hold it over their head. That's kind of the overall thing. And that's what I'm trying to work towards. So, I mean, this is just like a small window into that. And I've been on here long preaching about shit. So I hope I'm not like boring people too much. But this is all intertwined. This is all interconnected. And it's not enough. There is no going back to the way it was. And just like Ukraine is not going to make a fucking deal with Russia, they're going to crush and destroy its military entirely. We are not going to make a deal with Donald Trump, with any of the companies that benefited from it, or with the corporate ass Democratic Party. There needs to be, and this is an opportunity, like going through all these difficulties in this moment, this tension that happens right now, all the bad things, that's an opportunity. That is the only positive of what's going on right now, is that it is a chance for people to actually change things. Because the corrosiveness of this, the corruption of it, fundamentally, like I said, this has been going on it's happening over generations and generations and generations, all right? And now the chickens have come home to roost. It gave us this system that the baby boomers gave us, the things that were tolerated, the systems that were put in place, all the people who got paid, all the corruption, big and small. This is the natural result. And this lives as a judgment of how they governed, how they managed America, and every single citizen has an obligation and a role in managing America. How we voted, they voted, not me, not you. So people ask like where Donald Trump came from. Donald Trump came from a long period over time. And when you look at who are the staunchest defenders of Donald Trump, honestly, it's like fucking boomers watching Fox News. You know, and so, and you can't talk to these people about it because it's a complete it is, they have their own interest in maintaining the status quo. They've benefited from it. You know, there's this Martin Luther King speech. He talks about, and I think this is something he's talked about several different times, about how you had Europeans come to America and they were given free land. You know, you could just go out west and get, 50, 100 acres, more, whatever it may be, like literally just given to you. And then, African Americans were brought here on like Amistad ship type fucking slavehold conditions and put through the brutality of slavery. And despite being brought here involuntarily and being subjected to horrific crimes, trauma, and the horrors of slavery, moral, legal, ethical violations of the highest order in human history, they were not given any land. We could have. We didn't. We just said, okay, well, we fought a war. We'll give you the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. But we're still going to allow discrimination in the Reconstruction era in the South. We're still going to have Civil War generals all over the place in the Deep South. They still fucking do in Georgia right now. Stone Mountain is an abomination. It is, it's a monument. You know what that is? It's a 200-foot, it's the largest relief sculpture on the planet. It's like a 250-foot sculpture of Civil War generals in Georgia at this giant mountain made out of granite. They fucking hold laser shows there. It's like, it's obscene. But they did all that, and we still have those remnants of slavery in the South. And you still have people like Pete Hegseth and others who want to rename, places, Fort Hood and others, after people who were in the Civil War, traitors. But it's the same thing, like they did not give them, not only did they not give them land, but then they subjected them to racism of a different form, a different, and continuing violence, continuing lynchings. And they said, okay, well, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. We did it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And that's why when you see boomers looking down on us, like back at us, like, motherfucker, your house was like $50,000. Okay. I don't want to hear that shit. The median price of a home, in a lot of states is like it's like 700,000 plus. Everything is outrageously expensive based upon choices they made. So, I mean, it is there's an analogy, there's a parallel there between looking back at people that you've taken advantage of and then trying to and the disgrace of trying to blame them for your own wrongs between both slavery and what happened economically. I don't want to hear shit from boomers except sorry and how you're going to fix it. But it can't be. And so there has to be a revolution of values. There has to be a revolution in the way that we do business with government. And this doesn't mean socialism. Like, we don't have actual capitalism now. We don't have an actual democracy right now. And this is just something to think about. And I think with that, let me see if there's anything else that's going on. I don't mean to preach too much, but this is just something that comes up every time you see something about these fucking oligarchs that makes me think about it. Okay. Anyways, let's watch some shit blow up in Moscow. It makes me feel better, other than what I was just talking about.
Нахрен горят. Я манал эту процедуру. Нахрен нам все горит, вся Москва нахрен горит. Вон все заводы нахрен горят. Я нахрен сваливаю отсюда нахер к херам собачьим, блядь. Я манал эту процедуру, блядь. О, вся Москва горит, нахрен. О, все горит.
So it's all the Russian gas shortages, but let's continue to get updated. So anyways, God, I love this. I love watching these people push cars. It's so funny. It's one of my favorite things. All right, let me see. Okay, I'm trying to stay on between like an hour and a half. I got to run and do some stuff, but thanks for coming on today, guys. I appreciate you guys. Those lottos are timeless. I know they seem to last forever, unlike Russians. But I appreciate y'all, especially on TikTok as well. I got some more videos coming out today on some couple different things. And we'll be here again, 5 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Mountain, every single weekday. And other times as things come up. If there's anything you want me to talk about, anything you want me to cover, just shoot me a DM. I'm on all platforms, basically with the same username. Love y'all. Take care.